friends of ours had a son that went here, and they raved about the success that came from this learning center. And so at the time both our daughters had recently been diagnosed with dyslexia, and we were looking for solutions.
He could not read. He struggled, and he was going into 6th grade, and I was ready to pull him out of school.
I didn't even know that Chris had dyslexia. I had an idea of what dyslexia was, but didn't know exactly what it was.
Dyslexia is a neurological disorder of the brain. Okay, it affects the areas that process the language skills, which is usually the left side of the brain. In a child that has dyslexia, the rear areas in the left side of the brain are underdeveloped or not developed at all. Their word attack skills, word retrieval skills are very low or non-existent. They have used many more areas on the right side of the brain to compensate for that. So many kids are very artistic, creative, because they've gotten around being able to do word retrieval and word skills. Most of our kids have issues with how they pick a word to use in a sentence. For instance, my daughter, who is severely dyslexic, wrote a paper in college, and the word she was looking for was experience, and the word she used was experiment. And it was a word that was close enough in relationship that to her it sounded like the right word, but what she wanted to say was she had a lot of experience using a snowmobile. The Learning Center was started as a nonprofit organization in 1994 is when it began. Our center opened in 2004. We have a staff of 12 to 15 tutors, depending on how many tutors that we have in the training program. We have about 30 students right now, all of which receive one-on-one tutoring using Orton-Gillingham, which is supposed to be the best method for remediation for children that have dyslexia. It also works very well with any other reading disabilities. Orton-Gillingham is multisensory instruction that involves the use of all of the child's senses. We use their ears, their eyes, their hands, their mouth. Everything is involved in the whole learning process, and it's a process of discovery by the child instead of teaching by the instructor. Their average duration at the center is about 2 years. Some kids are here a little less, some kids are here a little longer, depending on their rate of improvement. Most kids that come to the center have a deficit of 2 or more grade year levels. We look for kids that are of average intelligence because we want to be sure that they will be able to be remediated as easily as possible. We have some kids that are here that have been in the program 3 years, and it's because they were so far behind. The older the child is, a lot of times the further behind he is. We are able to move more quickly sometimes with kids that are younger because they haven't developed all of those habits that they put up walls to get around things, and they aren't as defensive sometimes as older kids.
When I came here, what I did was I got tutored for reading, and I just have dyslexia, and it just kind of like helped me out.
Well, when I came here, I first started talking to Melissa, and she helped me out so much. I mean, so much. Gave me information on where to be tested, an idea of how much it would cost to be tested, and so on. That it took so much off of my head because I was spending months and hours on the telephone just trying to find somebody that would test my child because my school district does not do it.
Well, when we got here, we would get these little flashcards out, and we would say the flashcards, and then as you go on through whatever, how many years, you learn all the flashcards, and then maybe at the end you'll either read a book, or you might play a game, or you might play an educational game in the beginning. If you struggled with the word, they would help you, and if you were to say something wrong, they'd feed you back on how to say it or how to do something.
Well, we usually start off by doing these cards with sounds and stuff on them, and we do a lot of spelling and stuff, and sometimes games.
It just made everything so much more easier talking to somebody that knew about the diagnosis, knew about where to get it, knew so that I knew how much to save, how much, because everybody's on a tight schedule now, a tight budget and everything, and just made everything so much easier and so much nicer. It was like, wow, there are people out there that do care. So it just was very, very refreshing for me.
I look back and I see that if I didn't go, I would be reading on a 3rd grade level, and right now I'm reading on a 5th or 6th grade. It makes it much easier, and I don't feel like I had to get this big of a book.
You spell something like planning with 2 N's, but you don't remember why. And so we're teaching them why, so that they'll know how to spell planning or tripping or running. And it's like all of a sudden you get that aha moment.
They were both blessed with great tutors who they really loved, and tutors that really loved the kids and put a lot into their tutoring. So it's a lot of games, a lot of phonics programs that they can learn those phonics skills, but in a way that's fun. They read with their tutors, and they learn those phonics rules that they can apply when they get home and are doing their schoolwork and reading on their own.
Miss Susan, she was really fun, and she always had something fun to do. She never was boring, and she just always made it fun. Didn't make it something where it was boring and you just sat in there and learned something.
Well, Miss Emily is really nice.
I've had as young as 2nd grade and as old as 9th, 10th. And those, the older the child, the harder it is for them to stop their bad habit and learn what you're teaching them. They've already been rejected so much at school and had so many traumas, fighting and getting kicked out and being bored because they don't know what's going on, that it's harder to get through to them. The earlier, the better.
Laura, and she helped me with reading and all the stuff that I need to know.